So basically, there are two types of users. One is admin, basically, and then end users. These are the basic user types in this, in Sales Cloud. And when it comes to roles, there are many roles, but primarily we use the following the roles. It's called Sales Administrator, and then Sales Representative, okay. I'll put comma here. I will not put into another because the mapping is all set. Sales Manager and Sales VP. That's it. So primarily, I mean, this list is just not the complete list of the roles, but primarily, I would say 95% of the time when you are implementing, you would only use these users, okay? And admin, and there is another type of user that we can call it, but most of the times we actually match that user with admin user. Rather, let me put this way. This is kind of super user, which will have extra role, which is like IT security manager. This is the role name basically. So just ignore this for now. And admin can also have, there is another role called application. Okay, so just limit to these roles. There are a hell lot of roles, and we will talk about them whenever necessary. Ideally, any company who is implementing Sales Cloud for them to run their operations, 95% of the users would use only these, these roles. There could be end users like field people, sales people. They go to the field and sell some products or services. So they are called end users basically. Admin is someone who would run the application. Let's say field is giving some feedback now. I'm facing some issue on my product. I don't see my product in my territory, etc. Then they would actually reach out to the admin basically. So admin is the one who would actually oversee the entire application for its functionality. And he could be like a developer, he could be like any domain expert, whoever is having hands-on experience on Sales Cloud basically. So who can sit and quickly fix the issues that are being reported by the field team or the users of the application. So that's how admin is defined. I already defined end user. Super user, somebody, so sometimes, like I said, I can match super user with admin because super user is usually separated because this role is very, very important. Only if this role is there, one can create users and then assign roles. So without this role, creating a user, assigning roles is not possible. Sometimes what they do, they don't give this privilege to admins because it's a money, right? If you are creating users, Oracle keep on charging them on the number of users that you create. So that's why they try to keep this one very tight. And if admin is entitled to give, and then he is like privileged enough to control the number of users, of course we can match these two users. So these are just concepts, okay? There's nothing like user type equals to admin, user type equals to end user, or user type equals super user in the application. But these are some kind of classifications that we can use by the number of roles that you can have. Okay, so one person, one user can have any number of roles. Okay, there should be at least one role so that he can see something in the application. So far so good. Any confusion, questions?
Srinivas, one question, but it's not related to licensing. You said as and when the user is created, we have to pay license to the to Oracle. I'm just wondering how does the licensing work in this case, Srinivas? And as soon as I create a role and assign one of these roles, as soon as I create a user and assign these roles, one sales license is consumed.
Okay, so here there is no restriction in Sales Cloud, unlike other Oracle products like CP Cloud is actually a different product where the licensing works differently. Though it's user based, but there is always a cap on the user. So if you buy 100 users, they will give you only 100 count. So as you keep on creating the users, the 100 becomes 99, 98, 9. So it will show you how many users left for you to create more users in the CPQ cloud. That's one way of licensing. Okay, but in Sales
Okay.
Cloud, there is no cap here. So because you would go to Oracle and then you will write a contract with Oracle saying that initially I need, let's say, 50 users, and then they'll write a contract and it's a document, right? They'll write, ABC company is buying Oracle Sales Cloud for 50 users. That's what they pay for it. But in the system, there's no limit for you to create users. You can create as many users that you want, but that's not really a fair business. Oracle may come down and then see that you are using more than what you actually purchased. And then once they audit, right, sometimes Oracle will go to some companies, audit their applications, how they are using it, right? And if they get caught, and then they are going to impose a lot of fine on them. So that's how it is on the Oracle Sales Cloud. The system would not really put any cap on the number of users, unlike in CP clouds. So if you buy 100, the system would actually count for you, and 100 users are there, and you cannot create one or one user in CP cloud. But here, there is no restriction by the application. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. Just an addition to that. So, assuming that, like you mentioned, I've signed a contract for 50 users. So, even the Oracle does not restrict, assuming that I create only 50 users and assign one of these roles, okay, sales rep or sales manager, or sales VP. Now,
Mhm.
I'm creating a 51st user. So, if I ended one user and create another one, so it still be considered as 50 only, right?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, got
that's
it,
right.
Srinivas.
Perfect. So now, like I said, any user can have any number of roles, minimum one role. So these roles actually drive the functionality on the login. Let's say if I have um, sales representative, okay, I see some icons here: leads, opportunities, and accounts, contacts, and I can see all sales related icons here. Okay? That doesn't mean you see the entire data in the application. See, a number of users will be there, and there will be hierarchies, right? Basically, so this is how it is, hierarchy basically. I'll also talk about hierarchy because that's very much contextual. Sales rep is nothing but sales representative. Sales manager, I'm just putting acronyms there. Sales VP, and that's it. So usually any company, let's say companies will have hierarchies, right? And there will be managers for the front end salespeople, and there will be even more sales VPs on top of the sales managers. So if you this is the this is zero level, the first level, second level. Assume there are only you know two levels. If they have even more levels, let's say third level is also there in the sales hierarchy. So this will go on. You can keep on adding sales VP role to any number of levels. Let's say fourth level is there. Okay. So the role assignment will be like this. People who are sitting at various. Okay. Basically, there is no difference between sales manager and sales VP when it comes to functionality. So alternatively, I can use also same sales manager, sales manager, sales manager, but there is a difference. So like this also I can actually skip sales VP role. I will simply put sales manager for any level. Hope you're following me, right? Just namesake, but when you are configuring the hierarchy in the system, it will actually give supervisory role at this level user. Despite the role is same, but it gives the whole control on his data. Let me take another example. Like let's say we have Alex, Brian, and let's say Chris, David. And there are 4 people basically. And let me take Alex and these 2 are sales reps. And then let's take a sales organization, very small sales organization. These are the sales reps. And let's say the boss of Alex and Aeon is Brian. Okay, he's a sales manager. Direct reporting. Alex and Aeon are directly reported to Brian. Brian reports to Chris. He can be a sales manager by the role assignment basically. And Chris reports to David basically. He could also be a sales manager. Or slash, no, I want to go by. Typically, what I'm trying to tell you, there's no difference between sales manager and sales VP, despite 2 different names are there. Those are just tags. Unless you put them in the hierarchy, then only that makes difference to the functionality. So if they are sitting standalone, if I create a user, Brian and Chris, so though Brian, in the application, if I am not putting any hierarchy between these 2 people, and Chris cannot see Brian's data despite he is actually a manager, because that's only on the paper, not in the application. When I'm putting them in the hierarchy, despite I have a role, doesn't matter, sales manager, I can still see the data of Brian, who is also sales manager by role, but the hierarchy actually decides whether I can see Brian's data or not. David can see whether he can see Chris data or not. That's how it is. You follow me so far? It only hierarchy building will make a lot of difference to the functionality, particularly the data part of it.
Yes, so basically, even though all three are sales managers, probably they belong to different sales organizations or sales groups, because of which they will not be able to see Alex and Eon's data.
Only when I'm putting them in the hierarchy, the managers
Yeah.
can see the subordinates data. That's it.
Got
And go by role. See, I create a user simply, and I'll assign simply, sales rep for, Alex, and I assign sales manager to Brian. Okay. And I'm not putting them in the hierarchy. Hierarchy building is not done in the application. So despite he's a sales manager, doesn't make any difference to the data visibility. They simply act as like 2 independent users. So what I'm trying to say is manager role, VP role cannot add more data visibility. It just a tag, that's it. The basic functionality still remains same as long as they are the independent users. Independent in the sense they are not actually put in the hierarchy like who is the manager of which subordinate, etc.
Okay.
Okay. So that's how it is. So this is the concept of hierarchy. So let's first see that how to create a user, and what are some best practices of creating a user, and how to assign a role, and how to build hierarchy. So that's the agenda for. Let me take. So this is my application, and now I logged in as super user. In fact, super user in the sense who has a IT security manager role, which will give you a privilege of creating any user, assigning roles particularly. So there are 2 ways of creating a user. At least there are 2 ways of navigating to the users creation page. So this is the navigator, we call it. And then you scroll down, you will find, so my team is the folder name, and then you'll find users and roles. So this will come only if you have IT security manager role. That's what I was trying to say. If you have this one, only, so yeah, let me take a step back. Everybody will get to see this one. Doesn't matter. They can get to see this, link or the task. Let me click on it. But only people who have this role can create that particular any particular user. So seeing the link doesn't mean that they can create it. So you will come to know whether they will be able to create or not only after landing on that page. You'll find a plus icon only when you have that role. And so if you don't have that role, you don't find a plus icon there. Yeah. This is not a production instance, that's why it is slow a little bit. So now you see this is the area where you would land up when you create on the link users and roles. And if you want to search for the existing users, let me search with the user. You can find the users basically here. So it's always a good idea to search for the user, and only when you don't find it, then go for creation. So let me try to open existing user and talk about a couple of fields on the user, which are very important. So John Dunbar. Let me take one user. Goodness.
Sunny, is it because you're in the
Why it's
sandbox
not
mode? No.
computing in Salesforce? Yeah, this is one of the main reasons, because of its slowness basically. Okay, so this is the user creation page. You find some of the fields are read only because once you save it, right, those become read only, not modify here. But you can modify fields like email at somewhere. I'll also talk about that. Basically, first name, last name, and yeah, middle name if anything, title, email. It's read only because once saves it, you cannot modify here the email. This is the hire date is like whenever you're hiring the person, phone, work fax. So the important thing is username. Okay, so you can have your own username. It could be your email. It could be simply like alphanumeric, anything that you want to put. Okay, and active, only active users are counted towards licensing. Let's say if you have created already a user and then he worked for you and then he left the company, and then you can come back and make it inactive. So that makes a count of, I mean, a count of -1. I mean, from the total list. So that's how. So though the user existing with the status inactive, that means like that's not an active user, that will not be counted towards licensing part of it. So you just deactivate it, and then create a brand new user, so that your licensing is always like recounted for the every new user. So active, inactive, that's how it is useful when it is like a person is leaving or staying, and then whenever he comes back, you can make it active. That's possible. So that's one important field. The person type is employee. There will be another field called contract or contingent worker, something like that. And once you select one, the other field disappears. So once you create a user as employee, you cannot modify that as like contingent worker, and vice versa. And business unit and legal employer. So these are part of early configuration, initial configuration. So basically, uh, a consultant who is starting the implementation, they create business unit and they create legal employer, so that those are available here to pick up basically. So I'll also talk about that, how to create those business units and legal employer. That's part of function setup manager, where we go and then see where those tasks are located and then how to create that. And I would recommend you not to create multiple legal employers and business units. Just for it's not a big functionality. By seeing it itself, you will come to know how to create it. And then here it is the role that I was referring to. You will find lots of roles here. Okay. Yeah, here you will find even some of the custom roles created. So wherever you see CX, these are all created by the users, and those are custom roles basically. And you will find standard roles like sales VP. Salesperson is nothing but sales representative. And you will also see service related roles. You can ignore them for now. Sales manager, sales VP, sales administrator. Sorry, that's service administrator. You'll find sales administrator somewhere here. Okay, so that's how you'll find. Then once you select the role, and then here itself you can choose a reporting manager, like I was talking about the hierarchy, right? So this hierarchy. So if Alex reporting to Brian, you can, if the user is already existing, you can go ahead and select it, and that's how you can set it up the hierarchy automatically. So he belongs to Bob Bart. I'll also talk about how to create organizations and then tag managers to those organizations. So basically, that's how first you set up your, all these prerequisites. Wherever you see star mark, that's a mandatory field. This you don't create, but this is given by Oracle. What you create is a legal employer and business unit. Those are the, you need to create them beforehand. And roles are given, or you can use it, you can leverage out of the box rules all the time. And organizations are something we should create based on the, organization structure, sales organization structure. Once you enter all mandatory field and then click auto provision roles, what it will do is it will actually sync the basic user creation with something called LDAP. So you don't need to worry about that. So once you auto provision and then save and close, that's it. User is set up. So basically here it is like, you'll find one checkbox. I'll show you that. So when you check that, username and password goes to the user, whoever is intended to create a user. Let me show you the creation page. So now you see this checkbox. This is the, how you can create user. Email, now here it is, editable, updatable. Once you save it, this becomes read only here. The higher data also becomes read only once you save it. So username, you want to send username and password. Password is system generated. In case you don't want to send it immediately, probably you want to send it later on, you can uncheck this and then save and close. And there is another area where you go there and then send the username once again. So that's very much possible. So all the fields like you can select any of the roles. I was also referring to person type, contingent worker and employee. Once you select any of them, the other one disappears automatically.
So here, Srinivas, so when I'm creating a username, I'm providing first name, last name, middle name, and I'm selecting the person type as employee. So it creates an employee automatically in the background.
It's just a classification. There's no much functionality behind employee or contingent worker. Just to separate the users from different groups. That's all.
Okay. Now, why I'm asking that is, generally, if HRMS is implemented, I have already all the employees already created in HRMS.
See, this is like I said, on one part, any application can coexist. Okay, including HCM. You see here
Yeah.
HCM UI that you're seeing it. Okay. Basically, you're borrowing HCM screen here.
Okay.
Though you are using Sales Cloud application, primarily creating a user is of the task of HCM application. So if I buy Sales Cloud, doesn't mean that I cannot create a user. I should still create a user, right? So basically,
No,
applications tasks are shared between the applications.
okay.
You have to create a user in HCM separately. If you buy a HCM, right, licensing, you would also use the same task. You would get this task when you logged in as HCM user, the same navigation and the same thing you will get to see there.
No, my question is here, this is a shared screen used by most of the applications. Now, my question is when you enter the last name, first name, middle name, does it create an employee in the background? It doesn't create an employee.
Well, what do you mean by employee, first of all?
Like, say, for example, I'm implemented HRMS. So I'll define all my employees, like my sales managers, sales representatives, admin, finance, everyone. Okay, now
Actually,
yeah.
employee means with respect to HCM, what functionality that you want to see when you created an employee. Basically, it's an user for me as far as it is Sales Cloud. I don't have anything to do with employee or contingent worker beyond just using that here. Nowhere I would actually worry about whether he is an employee or contingent worker throughout Sales Cloud implementation. Because I'm not worried about their payments, their pay scales, their payrolls, etc. Right, in Sales Cloud. So maybe that could be setting up an employee is of like multi-step. I don't know in HCM, but we don't worry here in Sales Cloud much.
Okay.
And the legal employer. So this is created by us only based on the requirements gathering. And then once you select that, you can have business unit. This is also user created field. You can create a number of business units and then you can select the corresponding one. And username, you can keep it blank. It's not a mandatory field, but email is mandatory. If you are keeping it blank, email defaults username automatically by the application. Okay. And there are more fields which are not mandatory: department, location, etc., and reporting manager. So this is one of the examination questions. So what are the mandatory fields that you need to enter to create a user? Certification questions. So that's a very simple question. Nobody observes what are the mandatory fields. And yeah, so most of the times, even I fail to answer that question. Okay. Yeah, so we think that first name is also mandatory. It's not. Last name is the mandatory field. So they would identify 3 mandatory fields when you're creating user. They try to give 4 and then you need to pick up 3 right answers. So they'll also give first name. So if you're not very conscious here and we think that first name is also a mandatory field, and then if you select that, it's gone. Yeah, so this, though it's a silly question, but that's how the certification exam is prepared. Any more questions here? Once you save it, your user is created, user name and system generated password sent to the email that you're sending it. And even if the email is some fake one, it's okay. We can still hand over the username and password manually. That's also possible. So once you create the user here, and rest of the management, except few things that you can manage here. If you want to reset a password, there is a separate place which is actually called security console. You will get access to that particular application, like I said, only if you have IT security manager role, so which can be accessed through either this navigation or through this thing. Okay. And do you see security console? Yeah. So under tools, security console. Basically, this is the place you manage a lot of stuff here. In the sense like if you want to search for the roles and their privileges, and if you want to search for the users, modifying some data for the users, then if you want to configure SSO between different applications, so everything is actually managed here except creating user. So you can still create user here, but that's not recommended all the times. Very important thing from the implementation standpoint. See here, you will get a add user button, which will enable you to create a user, and that's still a valid user. You can see first name, last name, email, username, password, etc. Everything is there. It will create a user, it will send a password, but some of the functionality will not work in the application. And that's still a bug, and Oracle never bothered about that. Still it is there. So always the best practice is create the user and then manage user here in the security console. Never ever create a user here. And that's not wrong. It would still allow you to create user, but particularly on the sales side, you will not access. You will get some errors while creating opportunity records. It basically says that it's not a resource. There are even abstract roles called resource employee, and those are required to access some kind of reporting area, reporting and analytics. And so if you create a user, basically this user is not entitled to be an employee, or sorry, not entitled to be a resource. If you don't have a resource capability, you cannot really build a report. Basically, that's one of the issues, and there are many other issues you would encounter when you are using the application. So the bottom line is, don't create a user on the security console, rather manage them. Manage in the sense, if you want to modify certain things, you can do so. Once you create a user, you can come back here and then you can modify any data that is allowed to modify. So now you can add any number of roles here. On the manage users and roles screen, you can only add one role there. Like I said earlier, you can add n number of roles for a given user that you can only do here. Application implementation consultant. See how many roles are there, because this is super user. super admin user, and it can have any number of roles, depends on the application. And so this user is given a lot of applications access. It has sales, it has like pricing, supply chain, you see lots of roles, so that the number of icons grow on your springboard basically. Let's not worry about other roles now. Let's only limit ourselves to sales particularly. And application implementation consultant is the one which will give you super user access, except managing the user. You can get to see everything in the system, and then you can get to see, you can get to do anything in the application. Get to do in the sense creating custom objects, creating fields, etc. So that's the admin's job basically. So I'll take a pause to answer any questions so far. No questions?
No. Now, only thing is there are different kinds of roles like abstract role and all those things, which will cover it later, right?
Yeah, abstract roles basically by definition, abstract means it has no, it is not driving any functionality in the application basically. Functionality, when I said functionality, it's not giving you any access to any other objects extra. So for example, there are two abstract roles. Most often used roles are, one is employee, another is resource. Okay. So if I add, let's say, sales administrator, I'll be given access to the data of any user irrespective of my hierarchy. I don't need to be in the hierarchy to get to see any user's data in the application. I get immediately to any data point, any record of created by any user. I get access to that, and I can see any icon, any object in the application if I have sales administrator. Okay, but if I add a resource role, it's not even increasing the data visibility. It's not even going to enhance the visibility of any icon or object in the application, and so is with employee. But these are there just to like I said, if you are employee, that's how you can differentiate employee from the other user. Resource is a basic abstract role basically that drives, that's given basically because that gives a capability of creating reports basically. Okay, otherwise I don't see any use of these employee resource abstract roles, and I don't talk much about it, as simple as that, because from sales perspective, nothing value addition by these abstract roles, but we still keep adding because Oracle recommends to add them all the time for any user. That's it, we keep adding them, that's all. Anything else on users?
And
Srinivas, in this case for sales, so currently I'm talking about the perspective of Oracle, the e-business suite. So here, all the users, I mean, all the employees basically have to import it as resources before they are using sales. That concept, all that is not there in this in the cloud part.
Yeah, I think, see, that's what I'm going to cover it. Like basically, um, did you see that auto provision button on the user creation page? Did you observe? I was actually
Yeah.
pointing. So that will actually, so we build some rules, okay? So what will happen? That rule assign when you push that button, right? The job role or the resource role. These are called resource roles, okay? So to be precise, and these are the abstract roles. And then we actually try to build some rules in the application. Whenever I select, let's say, sales representative as a resource role on the user patient page, also assign me more abstract roles to me, so that it will actually always add a resource to my user. So that's nothing but you're creating a user as a resource all the time. But that's not a mandatory
Okay.
thing. So it's like if I simply use only one role, in my role, that's it. I mean, I can still be able to log in. I will still be able to log in the application without any issue. So that's what I was trying to help you out here. Okay, I'll go to that task, like auto provision task, how to configure that in a while. So before that, where to find the roles? What are the box roles? Sales representative. So you see here sales representative, there is a sales representative, both are out of the box roles. Okay. And earlier Oracle used to have only one sales representative. Now you'll find to observe the code, role code. This is the display name of the role. This is the backend role code basically. And always use the role with starting ORA. That's the latest one. And then these roles will become obsolete any soon. It's nothing but you see, this is just a subset of this code. So for this code, ORA is added as a prefix. You see in this. So just make it as a thumb rule. Always use. You'll find a duplicate by display name, but you should go by the code. The role code which is prefixing with ORA is the right role to choose. So I'm just trying to show you the overview of the role, how it looks like, how to navigate. Now you see, once you select the role, it will give you various roles, sub roles, or I mean I should not call sub roles. Those are called privileges basically. You see this icon, just edit this role, and you can find the structure of a role. How many layers of functionality are there in a role basically. This is the role code. This is the display name of the role, and then you see this guided navigation. The first thing is about functional security policies. Okay, it's nothing but if I assign a sales representative role to any user, what kind of functional capabilities or privileges that I will get as a sales rep. So there are so many privileges which are predefined by Oracle. Okay, so basically these are all the privileges, and these are pre-configured by Oracle. And then see what each privilege is actually enabling that particular role holder to see in the application. Let's say particularly create activity. So allows creating activities basically. And the behind the scene, of course, it has a lot of PL SQL code, etc. But out of the box role will have a lot of privileges. So if you want to, if those privileges are not enough, then we'll go for a custom role, adding custom privileges basically. So this is a functional security policies in the sense what you can get out of this role basically, what kind of functionalities that you can do in the application with the sales rep role. And when I say so these are all things that you can explore what a sales rep user can do, and you can also find for sales manager more or less same. The functionality will not change, the privileges will not change for sales rep and sales manager. That's what I was saying you. The name sales rep, sales manager, sales VP will not give you any extra capability in the application unless they are arranged in the hierarchy in the application. When they are arranged in the application, the extra capability given by application is the data of the subordinates is seen by the superiors. That's it. Otherwise, the capabilities, I can also create an account, he can also create an account. He being my subordinate, he can create an account. I will also create an account. But I cannot see the account. I mean, sorry, accounts are common. That's a wrong example. So if you create account also, I can see it. So that's actually global access. Those are called common things. But transactions, particularly lead, opportunities, and deals, these are transactions which are created on an account. So those are not visible. So let me also talk about that quickly. So basically, I'm covering many things because those are making sense to talk about them. I'm supposed to talk about the contacts, accounts, those things, but of course, I think that's tomorrow. But let's talk only the related part here, not all leads, opportunities, nothing but opportunities. These two are called common. Common objects, what did I mean by common? If Alex is creating an account, let's say Alex, let's take A1, both are sales reps. Okay. I create account A1, I create account A2, both are sales reps. Okay. These are sales reps. And if I log in as Alex, I can see A1, I can also see A2. Okay. Doesn't matter, because that's why it's called accounts is a common object. That's the out of the box nature of the application. But if you want to restrict and I want to see only accounts created by me and I should not be able to see the accounts created by any other user, we need to modify the role structure. That's where we go for the custom role. But out of the role sales rep, this is what it gives. It's true with even contacts C1. So I can see basically, let's say created. Now viewing, let's say viewing part of it. What I can view is that I have just taken example of sales rep, which are at the same level. Those are peers in the application, and I can see both A1, A2. I can also see A1, A2, where A1 is not the owner of the A1. He did not create it. Despite that, I can view it. Same with contacts. Hope you are following me, right? So far?
Yeah. Sure.
These are called common objects. This is a common object. This is also common. These are not common. These are transactions. Out of the box nature of the sales rep role, I give to Alex and yeah, this is what it happens. Data visibility part of it. Let me also talk about edit functionality. This is called CRUD operations, right? CRUD or UD, which is C for create, R for read, U for update, D for delete. So let's see. This is update. This is for delete. All right. Now I cannot update. I mean, okay. So when it comes to update, I can only update my account. And delete, same thing. Sorry, delete A1, A2, A1, A2. That's right. Yeah. So far, so good. And this is out of the box nature for a given role, out of the box role. That's about account and same with content. C1, C1, C2. Okay. Now let's talk about leads, transactions.
Srinivas, here one doubt. So you're saying that creation view can be anybody can view anything, but update only the guy who's created can update?
That's right.
Okay.
Basically, the
So
owner can only do anything. Created person is the default owner, but you can modify the owner. Created person need not be the owner.
the other person will not be able to update. He can only view it.
That's right.
Okay.
So lead record, let's say lead is created by LX and lead is created by Ian. And the thing is, this is true. That's it. And same with the opportunities. O1, O2. Sorry, it's giving that's it. Yeah, that's how it is when they are not put. I mean, basically, these are two pairs. Okay, you need to understand. Both are having the same role, and nobody reports to no one. And it keeps changing when you add, the hierarchy. Basically, when you add hierarchy, let's say now let's also talk about that. And let's say Brian is the manager of Alex and Ian. If Brian is a sales manager who is not tagged on the creating a user as a manager, it doesn't make any difference. He's like another Alex here. I'll keep Brian here, as simple as that. You can create some A3, that's it. As long as he's not put in the hierarchy in the sense, on the user creation page, Alex is, when you are creating a user Alex and then you are not tagging Brian as the manager, or later on also you can add him, not just while creating it. As long as Brian is not the manager of Alex in the application, he would actually behave as if he is another sales rep, despite the role is sales manager. Doesn't matter. I said right. Here the role is same. Only the name is different. Sales manager, sales rep, and sales VP, and their privileges are same. That's why they behave as if they are another individual sales rep. But why they are keeping three different names? Because I can only tag people with sales manager or sales VP role on my manager, field. I cannot see another sales rep as my manager. That's how the system is built by Oracle. I can only pull a person who is having a manager role or sales VP as my manager on the user screen. I cannot pull another user with the role sales rep. You got me? That's why whenever is having at least one subordinate, we should not give sales rep always. We should only give either sales manager or sales VP. That's it. So when to give which role? When a person is having at least one subordinate, don't give sales rep. You can give sales manager or sales VP. Both can be given, but it's it's kind of redundant. That's it. Nothing is going to happen. Okay. So now, if I am the manager, let's say Brian is the manager. So Brian can see here, Brian, Alex, right? Whenever I'm tagging him as the manager of Alex and Ian, he can get to say anything in the application. I mean, anything in the sense only Alex records and Ian records he can see. Let's say there is another sales rep called somebody else, like somebody named App, who is not reporting Brian. Okay, but there would be another sales manager, let's say Chris. Okay, he reports to Chris, let's say App. Of course, he's a sales rep, and Brian won't get to see the records of App because he's not reporting to me, and he's not entitled to see the records. As simple as that. Let's say here Brian can see L1 and L2. He can see O1 and O2. Okay, he can update both O1 and O2. He can also delete O1 and O2 if he wants. That's the manager capability. That's given by the application only when you add Brian as the manager of Alex, and yeah, that's how it is. And then it goes on like Chris is the manager of Brian. I'll simply keep Chris here. But only thing is you need to keep him as the manager in the user. It's going to be Chris here. The same with David. You will get over here. Okay, that's about basic, data visibility of various records or various objects, common objects and transactions. How individual people can get to see. This is what you will get when you are using out-of-the-box roles and then putting them in hierarchy. All right, I think that's a concept. Now you can get to see the sales reps and then how their privileges are there in this application that you can explore more. But this is very important. No document talks about this intuition, and you can actually get to see the roles and everything from the textbook of Oracle implementation guide. But you don't find this kind of explanation there. So now let's see. I should talk about. There is a functional setup manager. I said I would touch base today a little bit of it, which is like you go to others, setup and maintenance. So this is how the landing page of the setup and maintenance. You would find a lot of applications that you can manage, and our scope is only sales here. Just select sales. You'll find the functional areas under sales like this, and it's very nicely classified various tasks into different folders. You can select users and security. All the related security related tasks are actually combined into one single folder. So you find here manage users. Okay. So this is another way of creating user. Basically, it will take you to the same screen. Only the navigation is different. It will basically take you to the creation page of the user. As simple as that. I'm just trying to show you how it is navigated. You can either navigate via the navigator, or you can navigate from the setup and maintenance, and then that's how it's slow. So basically the same screen. That's what I was trying to say. So let me show you that button and its functionality, how to configure it.
So this is basically when you navigate from security console, you'll come to the same screen.
No. Security console is a different thing. This is creation of the user.
Oh, okay. This
Security
is the preferred user.
Yeah, managing the user basically.
So security console is basically you're saying to manage the users.
Yeah. So now you see auto provision role, this button. So this button is very important, and let me show you how it works out. Navigation back, click done. Basically, this is the task. This has a relationship with that button basically, and this is functional setup manager, guys, I'm talking about. And the task related to user, that's why I'm just trying to use FSM. And then this task is having very much relationship with that button. Whatever you configure here, those rules are invoked by the button there. Let's see what it is. Assume that you created, so before even going for creating user, you are supposed to do, but it's not a mandatory thing that you should actually configure this task before creating a user. You can create anytime. There's no sequence. There's no precedence. But ideally, you first configure all your rules, and then go for creating user so that you don't have to duplicate. Let me get out of this sandbox. You don't have to be in the sandbox as long as you are using functional setup manager. Okay. Sometimes some of the tasks would restrict sandbox. Some of the FSM tasks will not really function, and then it will show a warning message saying that you just get out of the sandbox and then try this. So users and security, manage HCM role, provisioning rules. So now thing is, so this is a search area. Let me take if somebody has already configured. Okay, no one has configured anything. Basically, please try for another one. Administrator, somebody has done anything? No. So how to configure this and then how that is function? Let me try to show you. Basically, so this is a rule for sales rep. Okay. What I'm trying to say is that from today, it's 10th today, this rule is effective. Okay. And if you want to put past date, you can put so. Basically, what I'm telling, these are the conditions, and whenever these conditions are met, add these rules, the following rules. Basically, this is a kind of input, and this is a kind of output. Whenever the application, whenever you are creating a user, these are all the fields you see on the user. Basically, you find legal, employer, business unit. These are all the user related attributes basically. And whenever you're trying to create a user, when these attribute values are met, then the following list of roles are automatically assigned or auto assigned or provisioned by the application. That's what it is basically. So Oracle recommends this approach where before you even start creating the user, first configure this role mapping. Basically, the thing is, let me take resource role. Okay, if I select a resource role as salesperson, that's it, and no more required. Or if you want to put in BU also, that's fine. Or the legal employer, if you have more people, more BUs. I don't know. I think US. I should know. Some tasks are not. They made it mandatory. I don't know the BU of it, but I can. It's not mandatory. Yeah, this condition is enough. Salesperson. If I select salesperson on the user creation, the following job role should be added, like sales rep. Pop up. I told you to use. I can go by ORA and let's see. Percentage. Percentage is the wild character that you can use to search in the application. Okay. There are lots of roles here. These are all the roles. Let me select sales representative. That's what I'm interested in. Let me add more characters. Okay, these are all sales. So sales manager, sales representative. Okay. Add one more role, which is employee. This is abstract role. So like I was saying, for every job role, you need to add these abstract roles. And that's the best practice according to Oracle. Just save it. That's it. Basically, whenever you're creating a user and then tagging this resource role there, and these three roles are automatically assigned by the application. That's what it is. And
So
now,
Srinivas, if I don't assign the role,
sorry,
if I don't assign the resource role, will I still be able to perform my activities as long as I've got sales representative, like creating of accounts and leads and opportunities?
no, yeah, I'll talk about that. I don't think, yeah, I think you can still do that.
Okay.
I remember
Because
you can
employee, I understand.
still. I'm just trying
Because
to create.
employee, I think. Okay.
Right. Guys, this hire date very important. If you want to put past date, only it's possible now, and you can't modify this date once it is saved. Nowhere in the application it will allow you to modify If you want to put it, now is the only time. Any date that you want to put in the past. Then I'm not putting username here, but let me put. Basically, it will default here, but I'll put it as sales rep. So employee person type. So now what was the criteria? I was actually trying to define there as a salesperson. That is the only criteria point. Now if you push this button, right? Okay. Some more mandatory fields in Fusion. Business unit is also in Fusion. Okay. So if I only know this one, I could add there. So now add provision roles, auto provision roles.
So this basically will add those 3 roles that you added there in the provision role.
That's right. Exactly. So that your job is done. You don't have to manage this user again going to security console. See, so
Right.
this is the role that will drive the functionality. And
Yeah.
these two are the roles. And if you have more roles to make it, you can go ahead and do so. So you see this automatic. So if you can also add these roles manually at security console. Then it will show you it's manual here.
Yeah.
But best practice. And then once you save and close, and I will get an email with username and password since this is already checked in. So that's it. The job is done. Creating user, you don't need to managing the user for a sales rep. It's just simply one screen. Otherwise, what will happen every time you create a user, you go to security console, add these users manually. That's a painful thing. So I'm not saving this, save and close. Just want to show you the functionality of auto provision roles, how to do that. That's it. And I would recommend you also don't create any users once I give the user, because it's a small functionality. You don't need to really worry about how to create a user basically. So that's it, guys, about users and roles, how they are auto provisioned, and the various data visibilities given that the roles, the hierarchy, etc. One point that I want to cover is the hierarchy, how to build the hierarchy basically. That also you need to go to setup and maintenance. You guys, like I said,
Srinivas, if you don't mind, if before you go to that, see, when you talk about roles, you have so many things, like you got privileges, you got job roles, you got abstract roles.
right.
Now, what are these, the difference between a duty role, a job role, an abstract role? Abstract role, okay, fine, you mentioned it's employee and resources, but the difference between a duty role and a job role?
Duties, there is no duty role, or privileges. Both are interchangeably used. Privileges are nothing but small blocks of the functionality. Put it in in a privilege. When the privilege is added, the roles capability keeps on increasing. Okay, so let me put this way in Excel sheet. So how many types of roles? Basically, resource role and job role, and I would say privilege, and the abstract role. Only these are the official terminology of Oracle Sales Cloud. Resource role. You see the resource role when you're creating a user, you will find a resource role basically.
Like sales
Just
manager, sales.
yeah, just title. It doesn't have any functionality. But when you're configuring auto provision roles, it's actually bringing job roles alongside abstract roles. So the job role was sales. In this case, the resource role is nothing but salesperson, and it doesn't have any functionality in the sense just a title. That's it, label. But job role is basically you're tagging sales representative. That's how it is. I don't know why Oracle made it two different names for this resource role and sales representative. But when it comes to sales manager, both are same names.
Okay.
If you and sales VP also same thing, and sales admin also same thing. That's the that's how Oracle confuses.
Hmm.
So
So
now
what
privileges
is
are like mhm,
the sales representative job role is basically a group of privileges.
that's right. That's why I put it here. Privileges are like create account is one privilege. Create contact is one privilege. Like that, update account is another privilege. Okay. So many
Right.
privileges are bundled together, and then one job role is made, manufactured by Oracle. Got
Okay.
it?
Now,
That role you
why I'm
have.
asking is when you went to that role definition, it had 7 different steps over there.
Yeah, I'll actually again open that.
Thanks. Yeah. And sorry for asking questions. I just want to clarify.
No, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. So you see the manage job roles basically. Okay. And it will take you to the security console, another way of logging in. So all the
Okay.
job roles here basically. Sorry, edit this. So this is just overview page.
Yeah.
Functional policies are nothing but your privileges. Like I said, right? Create
Perfect.
activity. Okay, like create account. Lot of things. Create sales business plan, objectives, delete activity. These are all privileges. And this is the description what it is actually doing
Okay.
in the behind. And beyond this, we don't have access to this thing. Okay? And you can't add any functional
Yeah.
security policy on standard. Only thing you can do on the custom one, which you can take a copy of the standard and then modify it. So the next thing is
Got it.
about data security, in the sense like, yeah. So again, these are some kind of data security policies. Like if you want to, this is again a privilege, creating a privilege. I want to delete here. You can't delete it, but only on the copy of the standard role. I want to create a role, and I want the people not to delete the records. Basically, I come here and I'll find the suitable privilege here. Then I simply delete it, so that the user will not be able to delete that particular record based on the privilege that you selected. Right?
Now, my question
So
over here is you got
mm,
privileges under functional security
okay.
again under data security, and you
You're
have
breaking.
privileges again security policy.
You're breaking
Hear me?
actually. There's on and off
Hello.
breaking.
Oh, okay. If you see, okay. Oh, sorry. Is it clear now?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. In under function security policy, you have a list of privileges. Under data
Right.
security policy, also you have list of privileges.
Mhm.
So, I mean, what's the difference between these two
Yeah,
privileges? Because here also I
both
have
are same.
create,
Both
delete,
are
and
same.
edit.
Yeah. See, the
Okay.
privileges are same. Wherever you see privileges, it's the same thing. The same packet comes there, but only thing is, let's say, delete active, and here you will find the same thing. Okay. Yeah, you see delete activity, delete activity, delete activity. So privileges are same basically. Okay. But here grant or note, these are, you see these are the objects policy name. So it's a kind of multi-dimensional stuff. Here it is. You can delete activity. These are the activity objects. Note is a one activity object, activity of type task, appointment, all those things basically. uh, Definitely it will confuse you in the beginning to see, but the privilege that you see there and the one you see here, both are one and same basically. And if you want to say, I don't want the person to really delete the activity, and you should not delete my activity at any cost. And then you take a copy of this role, you come to here, and then you select this role where you now you are not allowed to, even the button is not available to delete here. Once you take a copy of that, those buttons will be appear to delete. Select the row, and then try to delete that particular row, and then that privilege is taken off from the copied role. Basically, that's it. And this is a very big subject, I must tell you. The role privileges, adding the roles, copying the standard roles. That itself is a security subject, and which probably I'll give you, some document where you can expand more yourself.
Okay.
And these are all, nominal, notes that you see here. Nothing much to really discuss here. The users, let's say, you can, if you want, what are those users which are tagged to this particular role? That's it. That's what you're seeing it. And the summary is like all nodes at one place, as simple as that. So only should understand the functional and then data security, how it is working together. That's it. The rest is nonsense for you.
Okay. So when coming to this, so if I were, like you mentioned, accounts and contacts are the common objects where everybody can see everyone's accounts. So if I were to restrict so that one the account should be visible to only the owner or the team members, then I have to create a custom role.
Yeah, that's so basically custom role. You should take a copy of the standard role, or you can get started, from the scratch. System would still allow you to create, from scratch, but that's a Herculean task for you, right? So rather take
Right.
the of the role and then delete, which is actually that's a better way, right? Delete, which is basically allowing to see, by someone else. Okay, so only find out task and then delete it. Then that's it. Job is done.
In your implementation, Srinivas, have you ever come across where you have to create custom roles?
Yeah, we do definitely.
Okay. Because Oracle more or less has provided all the possible roles. So just wondering what will be the scenarios where you have to go for custom roles.
Right. Right. So see, there are several ways of achieving the functionality. Like you said, if I am not the owner of the account, okay, I should not see the that customer. That's what you want to, realize or implement, right?
Yes.
So that can be done by through role, or then that can be done by different other ways in the application. Okay. So it all depends on which is easy for you, which is a better approach. That's what. So most of the times it's always recommended to use standard roles, not to go for custom roles, unless until it is required. Okay. So I know I need to talk about a little bit on hierarchy. I think I'll stop here for today.